Molly Widmer spends almost every fall weekend in the woods with her eyes trained to the ground. The botanist hunts wild and edible mushrooms near her home in Eugene, Oregon.
Mushrooming is potentially the best hobby you could think of. You come home with food. As far as we know, you're not harming anything. There's a hilarity and a real joy to it that's a lot like little kids looking for Easter eggs. The chantrels were one of the most amazing things. They were really, really heavy everywhere we went. They're a very bountiful crop around here.
Edible mushrooms like chantrels, truffles, and porcinis all benefit from big water years. Most of a fungus grows below the ground, attached to tree roots. The word mycorrhizal, used often when talking about certain mushrooms, literally means fungus root. The fungus helps soak up rain and funnel it to their host trees, and the growing trees provide them with starch in return. In rainy years, both the tree and the fungus do better, so you get more mushrooms. Toby Este is a professional picker who spends at least 3 days a week in the forest. The season for commercial mushrooms can last until the first hard frosts.
If I'm alone in the woods, I harvest mushrooms from the time the sun comes up until the sun goes down. There's no way to beat that as far as productivity goes.
Este sells his mushrooms locally, but other pickers bring their harvest to commercial buyers. The mushrooms can end up in restaurants and grocery stores around the country. Some Oregon mushrooms travel as far as Japan. So, does all this harvesting take a toll on the forest ecosystem? Molly Widmer doesn't think so. She likens a mushroom growing out of the ground to an apple on a tree. The mycorrhizal strands below ground are like tree branches.
The fruit is an ephemeral body that's sent out into the world to put its spores or seeds out into the world. And to some extent, it's meant to be eaten or decompose, and the lack of it doesn't hurt the mycelium.
The Oregon Mycological Society of Portland has been studying the impacts of harvesting wild mushrooms compared to leaving them in the ground. So far, the 20-year experiment has shown that harvested plots are doing as well or even better than the mushroom plots that were left alone. That's good news for pickers, both commercial and recreational, and of course for the many Northwesterners who enjoy mushrooms on the plate as much as in the forest.